It's on.
Hey, everyone, how are you today? It's interesting releasing elements of our old self. When it gets to that point that we are releasing our old self, it gets to a point where we need to just let go of pieces of who we once were. It gets to that point where it's time to let go. It's time to that point, like if you're going through a breakup, if you're having problems in your life, with who it may be, with yourself, your family, your job, your living environment, no matter what it is, we have to release old elements of ourselves in order to move forward. There are times in our life that we love something, someone so deeply that we just have to say, I love you so much that I have to release you. I free you from my bonds. I free you from my love. I free you from the person I am. I release you because we love that person that much that whether they be toxic for us, whether it was a good breakup, excuse me, there's no such thing as a good breakup. You can part on mutual terms and say, hey, look, let's go our separate directions, but there's no breakup is ever easy. All you can do is get to that point. When you're in that point of that breakup, you can say, I love you so much that I have to release you. I have to let you go and let you be happy, whether it's with me or somebody else. Those are the hardest words sometimes you'll say in a breakup. I used to hang out with the guy in California. His name was Grill Master Kevin. He was a blind black man. And he loved always using analogies when it came to his soup. His soup analogy, he'd bring up a big old pot of soup and say, okay, what happens after I've given out all the soup to people? I like somebody who's answering the crowd. They go, it's all gone. He goes, true. But we're going to take, he brings another pot out. He goes, think of this soup as you. This big old pot of stew is you. He goes, now apply it to a relationship. He goes, you take each scoop you're taking out, you're giving away a piece of yourself. You're spreading yourself out to your other half, people around you. And he goes, what happens when that soup's all gone? He goes, you've worn yourself out to a point of there's nothing left for you. There's nothing left for you to feed your soul with because you've given it all out. And he goes, breakups, there's no such thing as a good breakup. He goes, it can be a knockdown, fuck you, drag, beat up, drag out breakup. He goes, or it could be something so simple as, hey, look, I don't think we're meant for each other anymore. I don't think we can be with each other right now. I need to break up for whatever reason. And he goes, there's no such thing as a good breakup. There isn't. And it's facts. Because when you go through a breakup, it takes two to break it up. It takes two to bring it down. For whatever reason, relationships break up. Some of the biggest reasons relationships break up is nitpicking. And when you're nitpicking each other so much, it gets to that point where it gets toxic. But you want to stop it before it gets to that point of toxicity, before it gets to that point of where you're like, I hate you. So sometimes the best thing to do to save what little bit of spark you may have left with that person is end it. There are some relationships are worth fighting for, but then it gets to that point where you're fighting so much that it's connection, building connection with each other is becoming too much like it's becoming less of a priority. And you're so focused on what your triggers were. They get so focused on a trigger, oh, this person triggered me, okay. Then you get triggered again. Then you get triggered again and again. And you get so focused on the triggers that connection becomes less of a priority. You're more concerned about nitpicking, you're more concerned about stopping them down to silence, or concerned with, you're more concerned with pointing out their flaws. And you both get that way. It's interesting when it gets to that point, but you're so concerned with pointing out the flaws of them that they're doing the same back to you. Then connection becomes less of a priority. Then connection becomes less appealing. Connection then becomes more of a job. It becomes to a point where the more connection you're trying to build, the damage is already done from nitpicking. That what's left? What is left to give? Like Kevin, like Grimm Master Kevin said, what's left? After you nitpick somebody so much, the more you nitpick them, the more of that soup is coming out of that pan. The more of that is just cutting into them, the more you're taking away from yourself. Then you get to the point of telling them, look, I did this, this, and this. Now, an emotionally intelligent person will come back and say, hey, look, we both did this. We both are to blame for this. But then, of course, you have the flip side of it where the other person's not going to take accountability. They're going to fuck you, drag down, whatever. And they're going to do that. Then it's going to get to that point that it becomes volatile and nasty. But like I said, you get to that point where the other one breaks it off. And what can you do? What can you really do in that? You can sit there, whine, cry, scream, throw a fit. But face the emotions. Face them for what they are. Face them for the reality that it's going to hurt. Breakups are going to hurt. It's going to hurt you in ways that it's going to make you think. But when you dive deep into it, you ask yourself, so many people, when they go through a breakup, they're like, oh, if I would have been this way, if I'd have been that way, they did it. Yeah, so many people are like, oh, if I would have done this, but you didn't understand. If you would have, it's interesting after breakup, you start figuring out the things that you could have done differently. But then why couldn't have you figured those things before the breakup? Why couldn't have you figured those things out during the moments where connection could have been being built, but instead we're so busy nitpicking each other, so busy tearing into each other, so busy cutting into each other, so busy at trying to, oh, that convey something's not that, something's not that tone. I mean, you're so busy noticing, you're so caught up in being in the busyness of noticing the flaws. You're less focused on the connection. So what happens when it gets to that point? The animosity starts building. The test starts building. The pain starts building. Something to the same time in the midst of that arena, that area is be like, what can you do? So all you can really do is save yourself. You save your heart. But you have to release them. You have to get that point to release that person. Because you love them so much, but you love yourself that much more. Peace out, everybody. Thank you for watching.